RadioChelsea.com, that's what you're listening to. Seán McCarthy here, coming to the Halloween party this year as Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yes, indeedy.
Dracula.
A busy time here at Studio 7. We've been doing a bit of Halloween baking at RadioChelsea.com. And usually at this time of the year, we'll whip up a bam brack and lay it out on the sideboard for Halloween night under a linen cloth. But this year, I checked the station pantry, and lo and behold,
no raisins!
But before I threw the towel in altogether on the baking episode, I had a look in the crisper and found a few green apples that had been forgotten about. I know, how could anyone forget about a few green apples, right? But there they were anyway, lost to the world for all intensive purposes. So into the mix they would go as I set about baking the Radio Chelsea Apple Plunder, which is a simple apple cake with the full-on flavour of those tarty but sweet green apples.
The Radio Chelsea
Apple
Plunder.
If you speak to anyone who knows me professionally, you might hear them say that I like to be prepared. And sure, isn't preparation an elixir to the nerves? Being sorted has medicinal qualities. If you have everything ready, you see, then when it comes time to perform, or time to deliver the goods, then all you have to do is whip them out, which is precisely how I operate. I get everything ready first, and then, shazam, I let it rip. It's an actor's trait to be prepared. So what have we prepared then? Right, well, let's have a look over here now and see what we're up to. As we nip into the kitchen, we have our lemon rind, which is all chopped up there. I've also mixed 3 eggs with a cup of sugar. Okay, not too much sugar, because the apples are sweet. So 3 eggs and sugar. I've also prepared my baking tin by rubbing a little butter on the base of it and around the edge. I've also remembered to put a teaspoon of baking powder into a cup and a quarter of flour. There's me green apples that I found in the crisper earlier on, and this gizmo is an apple peeler, which is very handy indeed. There's a knob of butter in the microwave getting set to be melted. I've also gotten my hands on these measuring cups in the shops, which are very handy because you can measure out. And there's my grease-proof paper, which goes down there like that, with the base and the edge of the baking tin all set and greased and ready to roll later on, with me bit of butter there melted now already. And what else do I have? There's the eggs, 3 eggs again. I've also put a teaspoon of vanilla in there with the eggs. And just give that a bit of a whisk. And you're all sorted there now. And then it comes to the peeling of the apples. So you just mount them one by one on the gizmo, the apple gizmo, and roll away there. Will you roll it there, Colette? And each apple is done quite whiskly. You just turn the handle there and the apple pops off at the end. And you see, it's like a spring. It's great. Oh God, I'm thinking of those years of peeling apples, and this thing comes out. I think it was made in France, but I'm not too sure. Anyway, I like to soak the apples while I'm doing everything else so that they don't go brown, so just dump the apples in it. Oh, by the way, the apple peel itself is great for decorations. You see, you just pop them on the witch, and they smell up the house lovely, and they make her look gorgeous. How about that? Oh God, she's sorted for Halloween. Anyway, then the apples themselves you just chop into quarters with a knife. Okay, so when you get the apple, you just put it on the counter there and chop it 4 times with a knife. Also, canola oil is what I'm using, so you need a third cup of canola oil, or any vegetable oil, any oil hanging around the house will do. There's my melted butter, which is cooling down, me briskly running a spoon through it to cool it down. And so that's my butter all set to add later. There's my flour, my baking tin, my eggs. There are 3 eggs, as I said, with a teaspoon of vanilla essence inside it. Here's the butter now going into the eggs, and I give that a brisk whisk. Okay, brisk whisk. Then goes the oil, the third a cup of oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, any type of oil. As long as it's not diesel, you'll be grand. You can add that later when they're not looking. Then you get yourself what I call the green flat spatula thing. You can pick those up in the store in all sorts of different colours. And you add the mixture to the flour. Oh, I put a pinch of salt into the flour as well as the teaspoon of baking soda. And you whisk all that up, and you get a nice creamy mixture like that. Then you add in your fruit. All of it goes in one big throw there. There's a bit now that fell on the floor. I call that the lucky Swedish bit. You throw it in there for good virus measure. And there's your mixture into the oven at 350 for about 45 minutes, and you have the Radio Chelsea Apple Plunder for Halloween. And your guests, when they come over, they'll smell the house. Oh, did you see that? The ghost.
The cake ghost moved the plate by itself.
And your guests will say, my goodness, the smell in this house is just enormous, it is. Where'd you get that cake? And you can tell them you did it all yourself just for them on Halloween. And you'll enjoy a slice of that now with a glass of sherry or something, whatever you have in the house is good for Halloween. And you'll have your Halloween games, and everybody will be mesmerised. Absolutely mesmerised they'll be now with that. And that's your Radio Chelsea Apple Plunder Cake. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yes, happy Halloween. Yes, yeah, I think so.